Following devastating floods in KwaZulu-Natal, the President announced a 1 billion rand allocation to assist victims and build infrastructure, even declaring a national disaster in the region where other provinces were also affected. Now the Economic Freedom Fighters is the latest political party to ask where the money is. Joining us is EFF Chairperson and Parliamentary Whip Veronica Mente. Good evening to you and welcome to the program. You also sit on the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee that's overseeing the fund. What insight can you share on the work that's been done to unlock this money and get it to people that need it?
Good evening, Iman, and thank you very much for having us. First and foremost, after the committee was constituted, we started with the oversight in order to understand what's happening on the ground and understand if there is any other monetary interventions by government to the people that are affected by the floods. Started with the KZN, and we saw the terrible conditions and the living conditions of the people that were affected right now. In KZN, just to be brief about the KZN issue is that, one, the Premier informed us that there was no 1 billion that has ever been sent to them. They've been asked to reprioritize their own budgets. They've been asked to foot the bill. There are some monies from the disaster fund that they've received, which were not even a quarter of what was required at the time. And then the people that still needed to be burying their loved ones, they were being assisted by AVBOB and being assisted by some money from Mutsepe Foundation, which was not given to the province. Going to the Eastern Cape, the disaster is still there was no 1 billion. Going to Northwest yesterday, we were there was no 1 billion. But what is there right now, we are hearing today, we met with all the ministers to understand what is happening, to understand what is their intervention, because once you declare the disaster a national disaster, it means that as a government, as a bigger brother of your province and your local municipality, you ought to step in and you ought to intervene.
Right. I'm going to come to a question around, whether there is a dysfunction between the three spheres of government insofar as the disbursement of these funds. But one of the things we heard from the Treasury and what we heard from the Finance Minister is that the quality of the applications was not up to standard, which prohibited them from disbursing money. What are your thoughts on that? And have there been interventions and discussions between the Treasury and even the provincial government to understand why there's this bureaucratic block?
The funny thing is that even today, the minister was not there because we are told the minister is in London. But neither the deputy minister pitched. So an acting minister, which is the minister in the presidency, Gungubele, was there representing them with no answers as to what do they mean that the municipalities do not have capacity, something that they know of. Municipalities, as they stand, you understand that municipalities only receive 10% of the national budget. And the reason why municipalities are dysfunctional, the reason why municipalities year in, year out, AG will say they cannot deal with the issue of the administration of funds, there's always maladministration where funds are concerned, is because there's no capacity. And that fact, they are well aware of. And then National Treasury was supposed to have sent coordinators all over where there are floods to coordinate direct from the ground in order to understand what are the needs of the people, what interventions are required, and start working with those interventions with the mayors, the councillors, and the people. And that is not there.
You know what's further concerning, Veronica, is we hear from other ad hoc committee members, joint ad hoc committee members, that there appear to be misunderstandings between the three spheres of government. There were calls made also for a Treasury task team now to be deployed to to try and resolve the matter. What is your understanding? What light can you share to the South African public of why this is so difficult to do?
It's something that we were pondering on as well as today, that why are we not having a coordinated team from National Treasury or from the President's office that's overseeing the whole project? But there is no answer to that. But then you can find out that there are people on the ground. The way they coordinate this whole process is through listening to the mayors, and the mayors informing the province. Then the province informs the national sphere of government. So there is nothing that is intervening in order to curb that incapacity of all the councillors or the local sphere or even the province. Look for an example, the Northwest. In the Northwest, the municipality of Tswaying is a municipality that can even pay salaries on its own right now. Their allocation is kept at the district level because they can only release it when there is a service delivery project. It therefore tells you that Tswaying does not have any capacity to deal with the issue of funds, accommodate the people who are still living in floods. It ought to be national government that is taking the space and ensuring that people are serviced, ensuring that people have got homes.
You know, Veronica, when we sort of interrogate the questions such as the one you're raising of what's happened to the 1 billion rand, in South Africa, we are so traumatized by state capture. We are so traumatized by corruption that inevitably becomes the first thought and the first response to a question like that. When you describe what you're describing to me now around the anatomy of this lack of disbursement, it sounds more like it is an incapable state rather than the concern around fraud. Would you concur with that? That this is more bureaucratic than criminal, although it's criminal on many other levels. We'll talk about that now. But in terms of people accessing this money, in a criminal way.
The story is that they are trying to curb the issues of corruption by keeping the money and making municipalities to apply, which they do not have capacity to apply, and they do not assist them. Once they identify all those gaps, once they identify all the affected areas, and when they are issuing their applications and sending it to National Treasury, those applications do not get attention they deserve in terms of correcting them. So they are trying to tell us that, no, we're trying to deal with the issues of corruption. We're trying to arrest corruption by making sure that if you are asking for 10 rand, we give you 10 rand on the basis that we understand what the 10 rand does. That's well and good. But who is supposed to be doing that when the local government cannot do it? For now, there is no corruption because there is no money.
You know, as you're sharing, that picture, we go back to what the real reason for all of this is. It's families who have lost, some of them have lost everything. Some of them have lost loved ones. You spoke about, the community outreach around helping people with burials and things like that. The reality is that this infrastructure, this access was created to help those very people. What update can you share with us about their plight in the absence of relief funds?
Right now, people are left to be fending for themselves. If I can give you a very depressing example of yesterday, their homes have been submerged in water for 6 months. They are still in water. I don't know if ever my communications have shared those pictures with you of the homes of people. They are still in water. And the situation there is such that when we ask the Premier, why are you not then talking to the people and making them aware that the place they are sitting in is a wetland, and the place that they are sitting in is more like a fountain, is pumping water from beneath, and therefore it means that relocate them and provide them the space. They say no, they are refusing to be given the temporal structures. And all of us, we agree. Even I told them today, I would not agree myself. Coming from home where there's a rondavelle, there's a 4-room, there's a flat, and there's a garden, there's a crawl. Now you want to take me and confine me in a space, in a shack of a 2-room. And you are telling me that you are providing me a home. Provide me with a plot. Give me that 78,000 of a temporal structure, and then give me the rest of the money, because you are saying you are providing a temporal structure as a temporal accommodation, but you are coming back with a long-term solution. Therefore, a long-term solution is to provide a bricks RDP. Therefore, take the bricks RDP amount with the temporal structure amount, give it to me, or ask me to go to the builder's warehouse, wherever the building material is, and get material for my own home. Then I will be free to go and rebuild my life.
Right. I mean, you're talking about land, and in a best case scenario, probably something like access to a serviced plot. As we sit here tonight, though, there is the question that the nation is asking around the disbursement of money. You have the inside view as to where some of these blockages are coming from. What do you have in your arsenal tonight as being part of the ad hoc committee to make sure that this process is accelerated, that the inabilities of what we understand to be the inability of the municipality to put forward well thought out claims, how do you help them make sure that that doesn't happen?
It's very easy, Iman. Human settlement, social development, public works. They must go, identify the land, give the land to the people in terms of plots, not the setup of a township RDP 4x4 or a 8x2 square meter house. Allow them a space where they are going to feel at home. And that coordination with the people must be done directly by the departments, not some middleman municipality, middleman province. Right. Provide that money which you say you have as in a 1 billion, but you are keeping it because you don't understand what the people need. The
Right.
people on the ground need it. Go to them, listen to them, provide the support yourself, and allow them to live and continue with their lives.
Right, Veronica, so that's in the long view. That's on the issue of long-term settlements. I'm talking now about the allocation of funds to needy families tonight who have to restart their lives. How do you use the position that you have, and particularly the position and the power that the committee has, to unlock that money and to get it where it needs to go?
It's quite easy when people have already registered what they require, because some of the people were affected by the floods, not having their whole house or all the houses in a yard swept away by the floods. But some of them, they are homeless completely. So you go case by case and understand what do you need. But you cannot confine them in a hall. You cannot confine them in temporal structures, because those temporal structures, some of them are even rebuilt in the homes where the soil is not stable. So case by case, and give them what they need. It's simple like that. And some of them, the schools are affected. Go to those schools, understand what are the requirements, understand what are the technical teams that must come in and deal with, and provide money for that. Do not send someone else. Some need food. Go and find food as government, give them food, and ensure that they have food to eat. Kids have got uniform, they have birth certificates, they've got IDs, and make sure that the clinics in their surroundings are also well taken care of. Where clinics were severely affected, you must offer the mobile clinics and make sure that they are there 24 hours.
Let's come back then to the role of the ad hoc committee, and we have had several iterations of how we monitor this money and we monitor the fund. And as South Africans, we want to know, what is the value of these committees? If you can't put a stick or something, even more calamitous, to the head of the National Treasury or the Finance Ministry to say, get rid of the red tape and let's get the money to people, then what is the purpose of the committee?
We can't really get rid of the system and the process, because that then will be opening the floodgates of corruption. But allow the people, that system should not take more than 48 hours to understand it. In fact, the emergency procurement system does not take even 24 hours. But the problem we have people who are thinking. What I came to yesterday when we went to Northwest is to understand that why is the executive mayor understanding this situation differently? The premier is understanding the situation differently. These two people are the middle people from the money of national.
Right.
Then the national must come in and not listen to these two, which are creating unnecessary bureaucracy and fighting over who must receive this money in order for the money to be given to the people, in order for the services to go to the people. Go in yourself as national government, understand the matter, then deal with the matter.
But what about the real-time audits? I mean, we heard there was going to be assistance from the AGSA providing these real-time audits. What's happening with that?
AG can only audit money that is out there. If there's no money, there's nothing to audit. And they have been asked to reprioritize. Municipalities can't reprioritize. They were there on their last month of budget.
Right.
They had no money. Provinces have not issued some more money. And some of the provinces like Northwest, it has returned most of its money to National Treasury because it could not use it. because of capacity and the fact that they were under administration.
So if you're speaking to families tonight who are saying, you know, we're looking at this interview hoping we can get some answers, there are no answers, it would seem.
With the government that we have, there are no answers that we're getting. The only answer we can have and the only solution is for them to get out of those offices, go and provide the services to the people. Get that 1 billion rand. They must get all those applications, understand what the people need, right, and provide that which is required by the people.
Veronica, thank you for your time this evening and for sharing the work of the committee and an update on this 1 billion rand relief fund, which as yet as we understand, no money has been allocated. Thank you for talking to us this evening. Veronica Mente is the EFF chairperson and parliamentary whip.